After selling my car to pay for my wife's master's degree, I found a thank you card, not for me, but for her affair partner, telling him, "We did it, baby." When I confronted her, she just shrugged and said, "You're a stepping stone." I drained our accounts and sent her a graduation gift, an empty wallet and a final goodbye. I'm 41. My name's Eric. I live in Aurora, Illinois. I work as a diesel mechanic. Been doing that kind of work since I was 19. It's dirty, it's loud, it's exhausting. But it pays steady and I'm good at it. I've never asked for much in life. A roof over my head, cold beer after work, and someone to come home to. I thought I had that with Julia. We met when I was 31 and she was 27. She was working the counter at a coffee shop downtown. I used to stop in every morning before my shift, mostly for the caffeine, but once I saw her, I didn't miss a day. She had these green eyes and a way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room. We started talking, then dating, then living together after a year. We got married after 2. She always said she wanted more from life. I respected that. Said she felt stuck at the cafe, wanted to go back to school, become a teacher. I thought that sounded like a good plan. She'd always loved kids, and she was good with people. Said she got accepted into a master's program at NIU, Northern Illinois University, over in DeKalb. It was going to be expensive. We didn't have much saved. Rent, bills, groceries. It added up. But I wanted to support her. I really believed in her. So I sold my truck. My Ford F-150. That thing wasn't pretty, but I'd rebuilt half of it myself. Took pride in it. Letting it go hurt more than I said out loud. I also picked up a second shift at the garage. Came home late most nights, dead on my feet. Didn't complain. Just kept going. I figured it was all worth it, you know? We were building something. Our future. Our family. At first, she acted grateful. Called me her rock. Said I was the reason she was getting to follow her dreams. I ate that up. I felt like I was doing something right for once. Over time though, she got more distant. Spent more nights on campus. Said she was in study groups. Said she was tired. Said she needed space. I brushed it off. Told myself it was just stress. That when she graduated, things would go back to normal. They didn't. Graduation day finally came. I remember it was a Saturday in May. I took off work. Cleaned the apartment, picked up flowers, made a sign for her. I was so damn proud of her. She walked across that stage and smiled at the crowd like she'd won the lottery. I smiled too. I really believed we'd made it. That night, she told me she was going out to dinner with some classmates. A girls' night, she said. I didn't think anything of it. Just told her to have fun and be safe. The next morning, I was in the kitchen making coffee. The apartment was quiet. She hadn't come home yet. Said she crashed at a friend's place. Whatever. That's when I saw the card. It was sitting half open on the counter. I almost didn't look at it. I wish I hadn't. But I did. It was addressed to someone named Ty. I didn't know a Ty. Not from her program, not from anywhere. Inside, it said, "We did it, baby. I couldn't have gotten through this without your strength, your faith in me, and all those late nights, wink. I feel like this degree belongs to both of us. I love you. Here's to the real future, ours. Yours always, Julia." I felt cold. My stomach dropped. The whole world kind of went silent for a minute. She came home an hour later. I didn't say a word at first. Just set the card on the kitchen table and waited. When she saw it, she didn't cry. Didn't yell. She just looked at me and said, "So you found it?" I asked her who Ty was. She said he was her advisor. Said they'd been together for 6 months. 6 months. That meant while I was working double shifts, skipping sleep, selling my truck, she was out with him. Lying to my face. I asked her why. I was still trying to wrap my head around it. I said, "Why would you do this to me?" She looked right at me and said, "You were a stepping stone. I needed someone to get me through this. That's all you were. No regret. No guilt. Just those words. I'll never forget them." She left that night. Took a few things, said she'd come back for the rest later. I didn't stop her. But I also didn't sit around and cry. I got mad. We had a joint account. I had been putting all my checks in it for months. That account had over 24 grand. I emptied it. Every cent left a few dollars just to be petty. Then I boxed up everything she left behind. Her clothes. Her shoes. Her books. That stupid coffee mug that said, "Teacher in Training." And her red wallet, the one I gave her for our anniversary. I emptied it too. I put one note inside. "You wanted a future with Ty. Here's your start." I drove out to Naperville and dropped it on the porch of his house. Yeah, I knew where he lived. I figured he deserved to know what he was getting into. His wife and kids probably deserved to know too, but I wasn't going to go that far. Not yet. I haven't seen her since. She tried calling. Left voicemails. Said I was a coward. Said I ruined her life. That I was bitter and small and jealous. She was right about one thing. I was bitter. But I wasn't jealous. She had her dream. She got her degree. She got Ty. But she also got a whole lot of karma coming her way. And I was just getting started. A week went by after I dropped her stuff at Ty's house. I didn't hear a word from him. Not a knock, not a call. But something was off. You know when your gut tells you things are happening behind the scenes? I felt that. Then, 2 Sundays later, I get a letter in the mail. It wasn't from Julia. It was from a lawyer. She was suing me. She claimed I stole marital funds and abandoned the marriage. She wanted half of what I'd taken, plus alimony. Said I ruined her professional reputation by dropping her things at Ty's door. Claimed emotional distress. I sat in my kitchen, staring at that letter, shaking. I couldn't believe what I was reading. After everything I did for her, she was now trying to wring me out for more? I called a lawyer. I didn't have one, but I found a guy in town who handled divorce stuff. His name was Matt Garrison. Middle-aged guy, tough as nails. I showed him everything, the bank statements, the thank you card, the note she left me before walking out, the timeline of when the affair started. He looked through it all and said, "This is ugly. But you've got a shot." So we fought back. She had no idea how detailed I'd been. I had every receipt. Every deposit. Every tuition payment. Screenshots of our text messages where she thanked me for paying for school. Even one where she called me her hero for selling the truck. I had pictures of the card. The address I dropped the bag at. I didn't miss a step. And here's the twist, Ty's wife, Melanie, found out. Not because of me, but because Julia posted a picture of her and Ty on Facebook with the caption, "Finally free to love who I want." Yeah. She really thought she won. Melanie reached out to me. Sent me a message saying she was sorry for what I went through. Said she'd been suspicious for a while but hadn't had proof until then. We met at a diner halfway between Naperville and Aurora. Talked for 2 hours. Turns out, Ty had done this before. Melanie had forgiven him once, 5 years ago, when he got caught texting a student. He promised he'd changed. But Julia? She wasn't just a fling. He'd told Melanie he was leaving her for Julia. And their 2 kids? One just started middle school. Melanie wasn't just hurt. She was angry. And smart. She filed for divorce. She also filed a complaint with the university board. Julia and Ty had violated school policy. Professor-student relationships were strictly against the rules, especially if they weren't disclosed. You can guess where this went. Ty got put on administrative leave. Then they fired him. Julia's job offer, she'd gotten one to teach at a charter school in Chicago, got pulled. The board found out about her relationship with her advisor and the investigation around it. The school didn't want the drama. She lost everything in less than a month. I didn't even lift a finger. I kept quiet through all of it. Just showed up to court with Matt, handed in my paperwork, and let her destroy herself. At our hearing, she showed up dressed like she was going to a wedding. Hair curled, full makeup, high heels. Still thought she could charm her way through it. When she saw me, she smirked. Didn't last. Matt laid it all out. We had emails. Photos. Witnesses who knew about the affair. My hours at work. Everything. Julia's lawyer looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. She kept trying to talk directly to the judge. Your Honor, he's twisting the story. I was emotionally neglected. He was never around. The judge shut her down. Final ruling, I owed her nothing. No alimony. No money. She was ordered to pay half of the remaining court fees since her claims were mostly dismissed. After the hearing, she waited for me in the parking lot. Are you happy now? She said. You ruined my life. I looked at her for a second. Then I said, no. You did that yourself. I just stopped helping. She started crying. Not real tears. Frustration tears. The kind people cry when they lose control. I left her standing there. Melanie messaged me again later that night. Said thank you. Said she felt free. We still talk sometimes. She's stronger than people realize. And Julia? She moved out of state. Last I heard, she was waiting tables in St. Louis. Ty didn't follow. He moved in with his brother after his wife kicked him out and his career crashed. But that's not the end of it. I had one more move to make. 3 months passed. I was finally starting to breathe again. I moved into a small house just outside Rockford, started my welding certification like I'd planned. The place was quiet. I had a backyard. No drama. No lies. Just work, cold beers, and peace. Then I got a phone call from my old landlord back in Aurora. Hey Eric, sorry to bug you, he said. But someone's been hanging around the old place asking about you. Said she used to live there. Kind of pushy. She left this note. He read it to me. It was from Julia. Said she was desperate to talk. That she'd made mistakes. That she wanted to explain. I told him to throw the note in the trash. But the next week, I saw her. I was walking out of the hardware store in Rockford, and there she was, leaning on a rusted Civic in the parking lot. Hair tied back, dark circles under her eyes, a backpack slung over one shoulder. She looked smaller. Defeated. Eric, she said. Please. Just let me talk to you. I didn't say anything at first. I just stared. She started crying. Real tears this time. She said she didn't know what she was doing back then. That Ty dumped her. That she was on her own now and had no one. Said she couldn't get a job in education. Her name was flagged on background checks. That everything she worked for was gone. She said she'd been sleeping in her car. I wanted to feel sorry for her. Part of me even did. But another part, stronger, remembered her calling me a stepping stone. How she looked at me like I was trash she outgrew. I asked her one question. Why'd you come here? She looked at me and said, because you're the only one who ever really cared about me. I nodded. You're right, I said. I did. But you killed that. She begged. Said she didn't want anything. Just wanted to stay a night. Get a shower. Maybe talk. I told her no. She got angry. Said I was cold. Said I was punishing her for a mistake. Said I was being cruel. And maybe I was. But I didn't care. I told her to leave and never come back. I stood there and watched her drive off in that beat-up Civic, her tires squealing like she wanted to leave skid marks on my life one last time. That night, I got a message from Melanie. She'd heard Julia was back around. She told me she had something to show me. Turns out, Ty had started talking to Julia again behind his ex-wife's back. Not to get back together, but to try and convince her to keep quiet. Apparently, there was a bigger mess coming. Ty hadn't just crossed a line with Julia. There were other students. 2 of them came forward in the school's internal investigation. Melanie got hold of the report. She still had connections on the board. One of the students was undergrad. Barely 20. Another had filed a harassment complaint. It was buried. Julia knew about all of it. But she'd kept quiet. Until now. Julia was broke. Alone. Angry. And she had leverage. Melanie gave me the number of a journalist out of Chicago who'd been following the education scandals in Illinois. The kind of guy who didn't flinch when things got dirty. I passed him Julia's old messages. The card. The timeline. Melanie sent him the report. It didn't take long. A story went public. University advisor accused of pattern of affairs with students, former mistress speaks out. Ty's name was all over it. So was Julia's. And mine. They quoted the card. They quoted her statement. They even mentioned my car sale, said I gave up everything to help my wife, and how she repaid me. The story caught fire. Ty's name was blacklisted across half the state. No school wanted to touch him. And Julia? The one thing she had left, her version of the truth, was now gone. Publicly. For everyone to see. I thought that would be the end. But it wasn't. Because someone else was reading that article. Someone I hadn't heard from in years. My older brother, Danny. I hadn't spoken to my brother Danny in over 6 years. We didn't part on good terms. He was 2 years older, ran his own plumbing business down in Peoria, and we used to be tight until our dad died. Things got tense during the funeral, and we never really fixed it. He thought I let Mom down. I thought he just wanted control. Old grudges. Dumb stuff, but it built walls. He saw the article. He called me out of nowhere. Eric, he said, his voice calm, like we just talked yesterday, you got a minute? I didn't say anything at first. Just listened. I read the piece. Didn't know everything that happened. I'm sorry, he said. We talked for 2 hours. Turns out, Danny had seen a lot of the same garbage in his own marriage. His ex-wife cheated on him with a friend of his. He never told me. We bonded again over all the pain we never shared before. It felt like getting a piece of my past back. Then he said something I didn't expect. You know what sucks, he said. They never learn unless it hurts deep. Public shame's just one part. But you want real justice? You hit them where it counts. I asked him what he meant. He told me he had a client, a guy who worked in private security. Real hush-hush stuff. Investigations, asset tracking, debt recovery. Nothing illegal, but very close to the edge. The kind of guy who could find out what someone's really been up to. I wasn't looking for revenge at this point, but I was curious. A week later, Danny calls me back. You might want to sit down, he says. Turns out, Julia had been lying about more than just the affair. She never finished her degree. That graduation ceremony she walked across? A staged photo op. She had failed one of her final practicums but lied and told everyone she passed. Never picked up her diploma because it didn't exist. And the tuition money? It didn't all go to school. She'd taken over $6,000 and moved it into a separate account. She used that money for hotel stays with Ty. Spa days. Clothes. Even a quick solo trip to Arizona. Told me it was for a conference. It wasn't. She stole from me, right in front of my face. Danny's guy helped me build a report. We gave it to the bank, then to the local authorities. Fraud, misuse of marital funds, false documents. She thought she was done paying, but it was just starting. Charges were filed. Julia got arrested. I didn't show up to the court hearing. I didn't need to. She pled guilty to avoid more time and got 6 months probation, community service, and a big fine. Her credit tanked. She couldn't get an apartment on her own, so she started sleeping on people's couches. Her car finally gave out, and last I heard, she was working as a cashier at a gas station in Decatur. But here's the thing. That might sound like the end, but it wasn't. Because I had one more truth to face. I wasn't just a victim in this story. I was also the guy who let it happen. I gave up everything for someone who didn't earn it. I ignored signs. I isolated myself from people who cared, including my own brother. I sold my truck, gave up my time, worked myself sick, and I never once stopped to ask if she deserved any of it. I didn't stand up for myself until it was too late. So I decided to change that. I took the last of the money I saved and did 2 things. First, I gave Melanie a cut. She didn't ask for it, but I told her, without you, none of this truth comes out. She cried. Told me she finally got a good job offer in Wisconsin and was moving with her kids. Said she finally felt free. Second, I bought a new truck. Not new, but a sturdy Dodge Ram that runs like a dream. I got it from an old friend I used to work with. We grabbed beers after the deal, and he said something that stuck with me. You didn't lose everything, Eric. You shed dead weight. He was right. Julia didn't break me. She freed me. Ty lost his career. Julia lost her future. Melanie got her peace. And me? I got my life back. I started seeing someone new, too. Someone who didn't need saving. Her name's Rachel. She teaches welding at the same shop where I'm doing my certification. I told her everything. From start to end. She didn't flinch. She said, "Damn. I hope she frames that empty wallet and looks at it every day." We laughed. For the first time in years, I laughed without any pain behind it. So yeah, maybe I was a stepping stone. But now, I'm the one walking forward. And she's stuck behind, staring at all the things she'll never get back.